Wisconsin. It's been warm. But that's what it is, right? It's that time of year where we're going to start bundling up. And right now we just don't know how to dress. So today I wanted to talk about time management, digging deeper, get time, right? Because time is money and that is realistic on many different levels. But especially when you're a business owner and you start growing in your professionalism and expertise and experience, your time becomes more valuable and it's actually has a dollar amount on it. At least you should know what the dollar amount is for your time because that is how you are going to determine what needs to get delegated and at what point it needs to get delegated. Because as you grow, we kind of talked about this the other day, you need to grow your team. So whether that's a contractor or an employee, it doesn't really matter. At some point, if you want to grow your business to a certain level, you're going to need some help. So finding out and figuring out what your actual dollar value is on your time can help with that process. And it can help for a couple of reasons. So let me just kind of break this part down for you real quick. It can help with your business because when you start to figure out what your time is actually worth, you can determine how much it's going to cost to have somebody else do it, right? So for instance, for me, one thing that I early on delegated was my social media management. Why? Because having consistent social media content and posting is really important to keeping your relevancy, right? And your SEO and all those kind of terms that people throw out for you, right? They're the experts. I'm not on this. I'm not a marketing expert, but I know it's important. So the one thing that I figured out was, I had to spend X amount of time every week, putting together content and scheduling the post. And I was getting to a point where I would go weeks without any kind of posting. And that's really bad. Like, you don't want that to happen, right? Weeks or months or however long it is. So I determined that this, 5 hours every week that I was spending on trying to get all the posts, or not every week, but five hours a month, let's say, that I, had to do to post all of this kind of stuff, I could be better spending on, let's say, getting sales, right? And so I knew that with me, if I spent 5 hours getting sales by actually having conversations with people or networking, my conversion rate would be, let's say 50%. And so like easily, if I got 5 clients at our base package, which is $300 a month for bookkeeping services, right? If I got 5, that's $1,500 a month, right? So if I can have those conversations, get 5, if I met with 10 people in those 5 hours, I would be able to close 5 of them. We would have $1,500 extra. So to me, it made sense to pay somebody $300 to $500 a month to do the social media posting, and they can spend that 5 hours doing it, where I would spend my 5 hours making $1,500. Does that make sense? So that's where you have to figure out what your value is worth, because if something is if you can get more of a benefit or return on your investment on your hour of time than, say, having a VA or a social media marketer or administrative assistant or an employee that can do various things for you, that's where you can kind of figure that out. And that's where you can put that actual value on your time. Now, this is even more important when it comes to service-based businesses, right? Because that's pretty much what we have, right? It's our time, it's our labor. That's how we make our money. And so your expertise raises that bar, right? It makes you more valuable. And that's where having like an hourly rate comes in. And so when you have an hourly rate, you can start putting that number on other things that you're delegating. So if your hourly rate is $150 an hour, but you're doing all these little minuscule things, you can hire somebody for $12, $15 an hour to do like admin work and save you that time where you could be focused on making that $150 an hour instead of that $15 an hour, right? So that's where that value comes in. And that's why it's so important to start thinking about what exactly is your time worth? Where's your impact? How much, if you put that effort into that hour of time of doing all the little stuff, what could you actually be doing something that would bring more value to your business? So those are some things that I'm talking about when I talk about getting your time and getting that value, because as you grow your business, You have to grow your team. And at different points in the business, it's going to make more sense to delegate other things to other people so that you can spend your time, which is always going to be worth the most, right? As the owner, your time is super valuable, but making it make sense for your business is where you have to kind of sit and figure that out. So in the early stages, it can be really hard to do that because you're wearing a ton of different hats, but that's where you got to kind of start figuring out how much time are you spending on what, and what could you be spending that time on instead to add more value to what you're doing. So figure out, make that list. I think we talked a little bit about that when we talked about delegating. Make that list of everything that you do every single day or for like a whole week so you can look at how much time you spend on this, how much time you spend on that, make different categories for yourself when it comes to your business and start figuring out what you can delegate. Because the more profitable you can be as a business, the more money you get for your hour of time, the more you will be profitable and successful. And that is ultimately what we want. We are building strong and successful companies that are going to provide for our families, our communities, and our futures. So thank you, and I will talk to you later. Bye.